So, hello students, this is SriRam Shastri. I welcome you back to my new video session. In this video, we are taking up some important MCQs of NEET, selected MCQs of NEET based on human physiology. The important topics, that is 21 and 22 chapters of your class 11th of PUC first year, what you call as. Okay. So, neural control and coordination and chemical control and coordination. These are the two topics from which we have taken certain selected important MCQs, and on that we'll have a discussion today. So without wasting our time, we'll solve the MCQs now. So the first question, the cranial nerve with maximum branches in our body. Cranial nerve with maximum branches in our body is auditory, trigeminal, vagus and facial. Facial nerve is a part of trigeminal nerve itself. Vagus nerve is the longest nerve. It is the longest nerve. Trigeminal is most branched nerve. And if you talk about the auditory, it's connected to hearing. Okay. So the right answer will be trigeminal nerve. The most branched nerve in our body is trigeminal nerve. Then coming to Bowman's glands are located in olfactory epithelium of nose, female reproductive system, anterior pituitary, proximal end of uniferous tubules. Now the question is about Bowman's glands, not Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule are present in uniferous tubules, but Bowman's glands are located in the olfactory epithelium of nose. Then when a person is alert with eyes open and actively trying to solve some complex problems, the electroencephalography, EEG stands for electroencephalography, shows dash waves alpha, beta, delta and gamma. So basically if you talk about the delta waves, gamma waves and alpha waves, when you are doing some very high skilled program, skill related program, then gamma waves are being emitted by your brain. Delta in generally deep sleep. Okay, so when you are deeply under sleep, delta waves are emitted from your brain. Beta waves during very active problem solving, and alpha during relaxed state. You are awake but you are relaxed, not doing any work. So the right answer will be beta waves. Then arbor vitae is mainly composed of gray matter, neuroglial cells, white matter, both A and C. So if you talk about arbor vitae is a tree-shaped structure present inside the cerebellum, and it's mainly made up of white matter. Then comprehension of spoken and written words takes place in the region association area, vernix area, motor area and Broca's area. So out of this, vernix area and Broca's area are related to speech, whereas motor and association area are relay center. They are not directly related to speech. Vernix area is for comprehension. The word comprehension is taking place in vernix area, and the origin of speech occurs from Broca's area. So the right answer is B. Then iter is a part of alimentary canal connecting between third and fourth ventricle of the brain, lateral ventricle in cerebrum, ear canal. Iter is also called as cerebral aqueduct or aqueduct of Salvius. Aqueduct of Salvius is a connection between the third and fourth ventricle of the brain. So the right answer is B. Then waves emitted during deep sleep is alpha, beta, delta and gamma. During deep sleep, just I had said it, it's a delta waves, whereas gamma when you are skill related work, beta when you are complexly solving any problem, alpha when you are awake but still relaxed from your brain. Then, eighth question, which nerve is called as dentist nerve? Facial nerve, trigeminal nerve, vagus nerve, hypoglossal nerve. A branch of trigeminal nerve connects the tooth during any tooth, what you call as problem. When you go to a dentist, they give anesthesia for removal of the tooth or treatment of the tooth at that moment, and they generally silence this particular nerve, which is a part of trigeminal nerve itself. So trigeminal nerve itself is also called as dentist's nerve. A typical value of resting potential is minus 40 millivolts, minus 60 millivolts, minus 70 millivolts, minus 90. You know the what you call as resting potential of neurons. It is minus 70 millivolts, and when it is excited, it will reach up to plus 3 millivolts. So the right answer is C here. Coming to the next one, unipolar neurons can be traced in a spinal cord, B, motor nerves, embryo, C, and both A and C. So basically, if you have studied about the types of neuron based on their polarity, unipolar, they have only one axon. Okay, so bipolar, one axon and one dendrite. Multipolar, many dendrites and one axon. So in multipolar you have myelinated and non-myelinated. Whereas in embryonic stage, when the neurons or nervous tissue is still developing, they are unipolar cells. So basically unipolar cells are found in the embryo, but you can trace some of them in also spinal cord. So the right answer is both A and C is the very correct answer for this. Neurosis is characterized by fits and convulsions, loss of memory, madness, irritability of nervous system causing anxiety. Neurosis is also called as post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic syndrome. After experiencing a very bad health issue or seeing an accident, or when you are mentally suddenly disturbed because of anybody's death, some people show a kind of psychological disturbed behavior which is called as neurosis or also called as post-traumatic disease, and it causes a very specific symptom, that is D option, irritability of nervous system causing repeated anxiety. Anxiety is panicking or having a fear in your brain about anything or everything. It's called as anxiety. Then match the following nerves with their respective number: cranial nerve, thoracic nerve, lumbar nerve, coccygeal nerve. So we know there are 8 cranial nerves, cervical nerves are 8, then 12 thoracic nerves are there, 5 lumbar nerves are there, and 1 coccygeal nerve is there. One is missing here in the, they are not even in the question, that is the sacral nerves. There are even 5 sacral nerves. So total spinal nerves are 31 pairs of spinal nerves are there. 5 sacral is not given in the question. So the right answer for this, you have to check it here and you can give the answer. Coming to the next question, which of the following cranial nerves are mixed type? Glossopharyngeal, trigeminal, vagus and auditory. So out of this, which is a mixed nerve is the question. 1, 2, 3 are correct. 1 and 3 are correct. 1 and 2 are correct. 2 and 4 are correct. Auditory nerve is a sensory nerve. It is responsible for sense of hearing, whereas glossopharyngeal, trigeminal and vagus nerve, these three nerves are kind of mixed nerve. They act as motor as well as sensory. So when they are acting both, we call it as mixed type of nerve. So 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Then, to what respiratory centers of the brain are sensitive? High carbon dioxide concentration in blood, blood supply to lungs, high oxygen concentration in blood, keratinized skin. So skin is an irrelevant option given here. So basically they are very much important for high concentration of carbon dioxide. They are sensitive to. They are sensitive to carbon dioxide concentration and not directly oxygen concentration in our blood. Then space between pia matter and arachnoid matter is, so meninges of the brain, there are 3 layers: outer, inner and middle one. That is pia matter, dura matter and middle one is arachnoid matter. Arachnoid is a what you call as a mesh like or a web like structure, which just below this you have subdural, subarachnoid, supraarachnoid, equidural and subarachnoid. The layer is called a subarachnoid layer, which is comprised of blood vessels connection. So it is called a subarachnoid layer. Then column 1 lists the part of human brain and column 2 lists the functions of them. Match the two columns and identify the correct option. Cerebrum, cerebellum, hypothalamus, midbrain. So here PQRST is given again. Controls pituitary, controls vision and hearing, controls rate of heartbeat, seat of intelligence, maintains body posture. So cerebrum is called as seat of intelligence. Okay, cerebellum, we can take it. Cerebellum controls vision and hearing, controls pituitary, controls rate of heartbeat. Yeah, so this is S and B is maintains body posture. Cerebellum maintains body posture. Then C, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, we can say controls pituitary. Hypothalamus controls pituitary. Midbrain, it generally is responsible for controlling vision and hearing. Okay, so this option is the right answer. Then visual area is localized in occipital lobe, parietal lobe, frontal lobe, temporal lobe. So visual area, it is from optic nerve or goes to the occipital lobe of the cerebrum. So it is occipital lobe. Then in the resting state, the neural membrane diffusion due to concentration gradient, if allowed, would drive sodium out of the cell, potassium into the cell and sodium out of the cell, and potassium into the cell, sodium, potassium out of the cell. So that answer is B1. So for every movement of 2K plus ions into the cell, movement of 3 sodium ions will take outside the cell. This is very important. 2:3 is the ratio. So that is B. Then, injury to vagus nerve in human is not likely to affect gastrointestinal movement, cardiac movement, tongue movement, pancreatic movement. So, gastric movement, cardiac movement, and pancreatic movement are controlled by the vagus nerve, whereas the tongue movement is not controlled by it. It is controlled by another nerve called as hypoglossal nerve. So, the right answer for this will be C. Then, what is the function of superior colliculus of the brain? To control the emotional reflex, to control the auditory reflex, to control the visual reflex, to control the audio-visual reflex. So, for audio-visual reflex, we have a relay center. For visual reflex, we have what we call as a parietal lobe. For auditory reflex, usually superior collicula is responsible. So, B is the right answer. Emotional reflex, it's again a mixed reflex of different parts of the brain. Then, what is posterior choroid plexus? Non-nervous epithelial folded roof, non-nervous epithelial floor, and what we call as nervous epithelial folded roof, nervous epithelial folded floor. So, first of all, it is a floor or a roof of the regions of meninges that you have to remember. So basically, if you talk about the question here, it is a non-nervous tissue connected to nervous tissue, and it is made up of a glandular epithelium which secretes the most important substance for brain, that is cerebrospinal fluid is being produced by this layer. Non-nervous epithelial folded roof is called as choroid plexus. What is macula lutea? A yellow pigmented area with cone cells. Fovea centralis of retina with cone cells. A yellow pigmented area of choroid plexus, choroid with rod cells. A blind spot of retina. So, fovea centralis is different, and macula lutea are different. In both, there is a difference that fovea generally consists of only what you call as cones more and rods less, whereas this one, yellow pigmented area, contains both type of cell. So macula lutea is a yellow pigmented area with cone cells in the region of eye. Retina of eye has these two spots, macula lutea and fovea centralis. Then which of the following has a nerve center for urge of eating? Pons, thalamus, hypothalamus, midbrain. Urge of eating, hunger, satiety, and libido. They are related to function of, sorry, not thalamus, sorry, hypothalamus. Okay, so it's a mistake, not thalamus. The right answer is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus controls the urge of eating, that is feeling of hunger, feeling of satiety, feeling of what you call as feeling of sexual behavior, is libido. Then deficiency, abnormality of which of the following is responsible for Alzheimer's disease? Cortisone, acetylcholine, adrenaline, norepinephrine. Out of this, cortisone, adrenaline, and norepinephrine are not related to Alzheimer's disease as such, but prolonged deficiency of acetylcholine can result in Alzheimer's disease, that is loss of memory due to age and nervous damage. What is correct for the number of vagus nerve? 6, 5, 10, 12. So for this, again, you must know which nerve is which number. Okay, so if you talk about sixth nerve, that is the abducens nerve. Okay, sixth nerve is the abducens nerve. Then fifth nerve, if you talk about it, is trigeminal nerve, right? And 10th nerve, if you talk about it, is the vagus nerve, and 12th one is hypoglossal nerve. So the right answer for this will be C. The aqueduct of Sylvius is connecting the two lateral ventricles of the brain, passing through the spinal cord, connecting ventricle and saccule of inner ear, connecting the third and fourth ventricle. Aqueduct of Sylvius is also called as iter, and it connects the third and fourth ventricle of the brain. Then, which of the following pairs correctly matches a hormone with its deficiency disease? Relaxin, gigantism, prolactin, cretinism, PTH, tetany, insulin, scurvy. So, scurvy is caused by vitamin C deficiency, insulin causes diabetes, PTH causes tetany is correct answer. Prolactin does not cause cretinism. Cretinism is related to other hormone. Gigantism is related to growth hormone. So, right answer is PTH, that is parathyroid hormones deficiency results in muscular tetany. The source of somatostatin is the same as that of thyroxine, calcitonin, insulin, glucagon, somatotropin, prolactin, vasopressin, and oxytocin. Thyroxine and calcitonin are produced from thyroid gland. Somatostatin is not produced by them, so it is not the answer. Insulin and glucagon are produced from pancreas, islets of Langerhans. There itself somatin is produced. So alpha cells produce the glucagon, beta cells produce the insulin, and there is another cell called as delta cells. Delta cells produce somatostatin. So same source is B. Which is a neuropeptide hormone? Insulin, ACTH, ADH, glucagon. So insulin is produced from what you call as pancreas, ACTH produced from pituitary, ADH produced from pituitary, whereas glucagon produced from again pancreas. So A and D are not the answer. It is between B and C. ACTH is a tropic hormone, that is anterior pituitary synthesizes and releases it, whereas ADH is synthesized in hypothalamus and released from pituitary, so it is called as a neuropeptide hormone. So C is the right answer. It is also called as vasopressin. Melanin is secreted under the influence of hormone: posterior lobe of pituitary, interior lobe of pituitary, intermediate lobe of pituitary, adrenaline, medulla. Melanin is secreted under the influence of intermediate lobe of pituitary. There is an intermediate lobe, pars intermedia, which secretes a hormone called as MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Okay, so the right answer is C. Then, which disease is caused in human who have hypothyroidism? Diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus, Bose disease, cretinism, and myxedema. Diabetes mellitus is related to insulin. Diabetes insipidus is related to vasopressin. Bose disease is not related to hypothyroidism. Again, cretinism and myxedema both are related to hypothyroidism or low secretion of thyroid hormones. Diabetes insipidus is due to hypersecretion of ADH, hyposecretion of insulin, hypersecretion of insulin, hyposecretion of ADH. So diabetes insipidus occurs due to deficiency of antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. So hypo means low secretion. So it is D option. Then calcium level decreases in blood due to the hyposecretion of thyroxine, calcitonin, FSH, PTH. Calcium metabolism is maintained by calcitonin and PTH both. Calcitonin, what it does, it takes excess of calcium and deposits on the bone, whereas when the blood calcium is lower, at that time PTH is secreted to compensate the loss of calcium in the blood. So when there is no PTH, then the concentration of calcium goes very down and it causes due to hyposecretion of PTH. Okay. Oxytocin causes contraction of atrial walls, increase of heartbeat, stimulates the pituitary to secrete GH, stimulates the contraction of smooth muscles, particularly lining the uterus. Oxytocin is also responsible for parturition, that is childbirth process. It is also called as childbirth hormone. So it basically is D answer, that is stimulates the contraction of smooth muscles, particularly lining the uterus. Then hypophysectomy, that is removal of pituitary, is called as hypophysectomy. Hypophysis is another name of pituitary. Diminution is diminution of all except one of these hormones. One of the hormone is not affected by removal of pituitary. Which is that you have to identify? Is it ACTH? It is GH. It is prolactin. It is insulin. So if you talk about these three hormones, it is secreted from pituitary, whereas insulin is secreted from pancreas. So this is the right answer, which will not be affected by hypophysectomy. Hormone controlling childbirth and milk release from mammary glands is produced by adenohypophysis, thyroid, thymus, neurohypophysis. So the responsible hormone is oxytocin. So oxytocin is generally produced from the neurohypophysis, also called as posterior pituitary. It is synthesized in hypothalamus and released from pituitary. So the right answer is neurohypophysis. So milk release hormone is different, milk producing hormone is different. Milk producing hormone is prolactin, milk releasing hormone is oxytocin. So it is D. Then which one acts as inhibitory neurotransmitter? Gamma aminobutyric acid, adrenaline, acetylcholine, histamine. Histamine is a what do you call as allergic reaction के लिए responsible either. Then acetylcholine for muscle contraction, adrenaline for increasing body functions, whereas gamma aminobutyric acid reduces the body activity, reduces the functions of other neurotransmitters, so it acts as an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So the right answer for this question will be A, not the other B or C. So remember that. Coming to the next one, Cushing syndrome is due to decreased production of cortisol, increased production of cortisol, increased thyroid activity, excess pain in muscles. So Cushing's disease or Cushing syndrome, if you talk about, basically it's a disorder related to the increased production of cortisol. Then, a pregnant female delivers a baby who suffers from stunted growth, mental retardation, and low IQ and abnormal skin. Is a result of deficiency of iodine in diet, cancer of thyroid gland, oversecretion of pars distalis, deficiency of iron. Deficiency of iron is not the answer. Oversecretion of pars distalis bhi nahi hai. Cancer of thyroid is also not possible. Deficiency of iodine. If you have seen the advertisement that iodine in the food is required, if it is not taken up during pregnancy, it causes this problem in the newborn baby. So the right answer is A. Then, which hormone is not product of secretion from human placenta? TSH, PRL, estrogen, progesterone. Placental progesterone is produced, placental estrogen is produced, placental prolactin is produced, placental thyroid stimulating hormone is not produced. So the right answer is A. Then treatment with Alexon destroys. Alexon is used in some treatments and it destroys the beta cells of pancreas, resulting in diabetes sometimes. So the right answer is C. It's a direct question. The removal of part of pituitary affected excretory system. It causes atrophy of adrenal medulla, adrenal cortex, renal pyramid, renal medulla. So if you talk about part of pituitary excretory system को affect करता है, then basically ACTH hormone is secreted from pituitary. ACTH controls the what you call as adrenal cortex, adrenocorticotropic hormone. So the affected part will be adrenal cortex, not the medulla. Which disease is caused under the secretion of adrenal cortex? Cretinism, dwarfism, sterility, Addison's disease. So adrenal cortex generally causes a disease which is called as Addison's disease. Then autoimmune hypothyroidism is Hashimoto disease, Addison's disease, Cushing syndrome, myxedema. So autoimmune hypothyroidism is the question. Autoimmune hypothyroidism was first discovered as a disease, autoimmune disease called Hashimoto disease. So Hashimoto disease is also called as autoimmune hypothyroidism, where your immune cells destroy your own thyroid gland, resulting in hypothyroidism. Then, which of the following is not paired correctly? Myxedema, swollen facial tissue, cretinism, mentally retarded, parathyroid tetany, insulin, raised blood sugar. So if you talk about wrong pair here, myxedema, swollen facial tissue is correct, cretinism, mentally retarded is correct, parathyroid causes tetany is correct, insulin reduces blood sugar, not increases blood sugar. So the mismatch is D. A gland which gradually atrophies at the age of 14 to 16 due to the activities of gonadal gland C is thymus, adrenohypophysis, neurohypophysis, pars intermedia. These are parts of pituitary. Pituitary does not undergo any kind of changes. Thymus gland undergoes degeneration due to the gonadal hormones or reproductive hormones. Endemic goiter is a state of increased thyroid function, decreased thyroid function, normal thyroid function, moderate thyroid function. So whenever the thyroid function decreases, we call it as endemic goiter. Exophthalmic goiter is another one where increased thyroid function will be seen. Which pair is incorrectly matched? Insulin, diabetes mellitus, glucagon beta cells, somatostatin delta cells, corpus luteum, relaxin. So corpus luteum produces relaxin is correct. Somatostatin is produced from delta cells is correct. Glucagon is produced from beta cells is wrong. So the wrong answer is this one. Insulin is causing diabetes mellitus is also correct. Which cells, the cells which secrete male sex hormone are islets of Langerhans, Leberkun cells, Leydig cells, Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells are nourishing cells. Leydig cells are also called as interstitial cell. They secrete male hormone called as testosterone. The abrupt decrease of one hormone leads to menstruation. LH, FSH, estrogen, progesterone. The hormone which maintains the placenta is progesterone. If that drops suddenly, it causes a removal of placenta, which is nothing but menstruation. So the right answer directly is progesterone hormone. Tetany is caused by hypothyroidism, hyperparathyroidism, hyperthyroidism, hypoparathyroidism. When parathyroid hormone is reduced, then it causes tetany. So it is hypoparathyroidism. Osteoporosis in women after menopause is due to, if you have seen the Horlicks ad, women's Horlicks, you will get the answer. Activity of osteocytes, decreased movement of estrogen in the blood circulation, lack of vitamin C, more synthesis of oscine. So generally estrogen controls their bone density. If there is a low estrogen due to menopause, then there will be osteoporosis. Which of these hormones regulate diurnal rhythm of our body, day and night cycle in our body? Melatonin, thyroxine, calcitonin, adrenaline. There are many hormones, but the main hormone denoted for it is secreted from pineal body or pineal gland. It is melatonin hormone. ADH is synthesized in posterior pituitary, hypothalamus, JG apparatus, anterior pituitary. As I said, vasopressin and oxytocin, they are synthesized in hypothalamus but released from posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. So they are called as neuropeptide hormones. So it is B. Hormones thyroxine, adrenaline, and pigment melanin are formed from tryptophan, glycine, tyrosine, and proline. One of the amino acid is a precursor of these particular secretions. So the right answer is tyrosine. Tyrosine is the precursor for thyroxine, adrenaline, and pigment called melanin. Estrogen and testosterone are steroid hormones and more likely to bind to the membrane ion channel, G protein linked membrane, enzyme linked to the cytoplasmic receptors. So NCRT diagrammatic representation is there in NCRT textbook. If you remember the mechanism of hormone action, in that steroid hormones have cytoplasmic receptors, not cellular receptors. Then, one common secretion of salivary and Brunner's gland that plays a role in growth and repair generation is enterogastrone, urogastrone, neurostensin, somatostatin. So out of these, if you talk about the hormone which is secreted from it, enterogastrone from intestine and urogastrone, from the other part of the digestive system, neurotensin and somatostatin. So which of these is responsible for repair and regeneration? If you talk about, basically the correct answer is somatostatin. Somatostatin is an inhibitory hormone, but it is responsible for repair and regeneration. Which one of the following hormones of pituitary gland is direct acting hormone that is without any interaction of other hormones? TCH, ACTH, LH, ADH. So out of these, if you talk about what you call as target cells, TCH targets thyroid gland, ACTH adrenal cortex, LH reproductive organs. ADH does not have any target gland, so it directly is a neuropeptide hormone which directly acts without interaction of other hormones. Then sella turcica is band connecting two cerebral hemispheres in the skull, depression in the skull where pituitary is located, place where heart is situated, foramen in the skull. So there is a small depression in the skull where hypothalamus and pituitary are connected. So the right answer is B. Sella turcica is the name of that region. Urine test for detection of pregnancy determines human chorionic gonadotrophin HCG, which is also called as progesterone, estrogen, or luteinizing hormone. When a pregnant lady does a urine test and if it is positive, that means they have placental hormone secretion in that, and the placental hormone secretion is HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. If it is present, then the pregnancy test will be positive. If it is not present, the pregnancy test will be negative. So this completes the 60 questions on human physiology, that is of 2 chapters, that is neural control and coordination and chemical control and coordination. In the next video session, I will come up with the next chapters of this. So for today, thank you very much. So you can also subscribe my channel, which is this channel, BioGyani SriRam, and you can also follow me on Instagram at SriRam Shastri at Fauna Photography. Okay, so I would like to give the link. Actually, I forgot to give the link. In the next video, I will give the link of my Instagram ID. For today, thank you very much. We'll stop this video here itself.